Morning, one and all. Today, my JC, the moderator is Dr. Altaf sir, and the journal is from JAMA, published on July 2020. And the topic is Outcomes of Cardiovascular Magnetic Resonance Imaging in Patients Recently Recovered from the Coronavirus Disease to COVID 2019. Coming to the importance of the study, COVID-19 continues to cause a considerable mortality and morbidity worldwide, and it predominantly affects the cardiovascular system, but the overall impact remains unknown. So the objective of the study is to evaluate the presence of myocardial injury in unselected patients recently recovered from COVID-19 illness. So the effects of COVID-19 on cardiovascular system. It causes the exacerbation of heart failure in patients with pre-existing cardiac conditions and elevation of troponin in critically ill patients, and also fulminant myocarditis is seen in 7% of the patients with lethal outcome. Pathophysiology, mainly because of inflammatory plaque rupture, stent thrombosis, cardiac stress due to high cardiac output and infection, and myocardial inflammation. Coming to the design of the study, it is a prospective observational cohort study setting University Hospital Frankfurt and the COVID-19 registry between April to June 2020. The patients coming there from April to June 2020 have been taken into account. The participants are 100 patients recently recovered from COVID-19 illness determined by RT-PCR test. Inclusion criteria: recently recovered patients from COVID-19 illness determined by RT-PCR with a minimum of 2 weeks from the original diagnosis and with a resolution of respiratory symptoms with a negative result on swab test at the end of the isolation period. Exclusion criteria: patients with active cardiac symptoms, patients who are unwilling to participate and who have absolute contraindications for contrast enhanced magnetic resonance study. Coming to the methodology, patients with documented recent COVID-19 infection were proactively examined and the demographic characteristics have been obtained. Cardiac blood markers like high sensitivity troponin, N-terminal BNP and CRP were obtained, and also cardiovascular magnetic resonance imaging was done. The cardiac MRI is performed on clinical 3D scanners using a standardized and unified imaging protocols. The conventional sequences are used to obtain the cardiac function, volumes, mass, scar imaging, and myocardial T1 and T2 mapping techniques were acquired via single mid-ventricular short axis slice using a validated variant of modified Luke-Locker imaging sequence, and T2 flash sequence is used for measurement of myocardial edema. Gadolinium enhancement imaging was performed 10 minutes after the administration of the dye. The interpretation of the late gadolinium enhancement is defined by two observers. So there are two types: myocardial late gadolinium enhancement. It is classified into ischemic or non-ischemic depending upon the pattern and presence of ischemia. And pericardial late gadolinium enhancement is said to be present when there is enhancement of both pericardial layers. The core laboratory staff are blinded to the underlying clinical information using a pseudonymized data sets for the interpretation of the cardiac MRI. Coming to the methodology, the comparisons were made between the age-matched and sex-matched healthy control groups and also risk factor-matched patients. The healthy volunteers of 15 number are taken into account, who are normotensive adults not on any cardiac medications with normal cardiac volumes and function without any evidence of scar. Risk factor matched patients for age, sex, hypertension, diabetes, smoking, known coronary artery disease, and other comorbidities. Coming to the data analysis, the categorical data are measured as counts and percentages, and continuous data are represented as medians and interquartile ranges, and the comparisons between the patient groups is done using Mann-Whitney U test for continuous data and Fisher-Extract test for proportions, and receiver operating characteristic curve analysis has been done, and examination for the examination and discrimination between the patients recovered from the COVID and the control groups, and the cutoff values are determined. Associations were explored using Pearson and Spearman correlation analysis, and cutoff values for the abnormal native T1 and T2 are defined as two standard deviations above the mean of the sequence specific normal ranges. The classification is made into lower, middle, and upper tertiles, where the upper tertile served for the patients with potential high risk adverse events, and all tests were two-tailed. The p-values less than 0.5 were considered statistically significant, and the analysis was performed using SSPS software version 25.0. Coming to the data, coming to the patient characteristics, among the COVID-19 recovered group, the median age of the patients is 49 years, whereas in healthy controls and risk factor matched controls, the age is 48 and 49. There are 53 male patients in COVID-19 recovered group, whereas there are 25 male patients or 50% of the male patients, and 28 male patients or 52% of the male patients on the risk factor matched control groups. And the BMI is around 25 in case of the cohort and 23 and 27 in the control group. There are 22 hypertensive patients, 18 diabetic, and 22 patients with dyslipidemia, and 13 patients with known CAD, and 22 patients with smoking, and 21 patients with COPD and asthma, which are matched with the risk factor matched control groups. The blood pressure in the COVID-19 recovered group is systolic by diastolic 129 by 80, whereas in healthy controls it is 120 by 75, and in risk factor matched controls 130 by 79. And the heart rate is around 67 to 68 beats per minute in COVID-19 recovered group and 64 and 67 in the control group. Coming to the blood test results, a high sensitivity CRP range is 0.24 in the COVID-19 recovered group and 0.11 to 0.12 in case of control groups, and the p-value is less than 0.001, which is significant. The high sensitivity troponin values is 5.6 in the COVID-19 recovered group, and it is 3.2 and 3.9 respectively in the control groups, and the p-value less than 0.001, indicating that it is a significant. The detectable high sensitivity troponin T is found in 71 patients or 71% of the patients recovered from the COVID-19 group, whereas it is only 22 to 57% in the healthy controls and risk factor matched controls, with a p-value less than 0.001, which is significant. Coming to significantly elevated high sensitivity troponin T, which is more than 13.9, is found only in the COVID-19 recovered group and about 5% of the patients. The NT-proBNP values are also elevated in case of COVID-19 recovered group. Coming to the cardiac MRI findings, the left ventricular ejection fraction is 56% on an average in case of COVID-19 recovered group, whereas it is 60 to 61% in the control group, with a p-value of less than 0.001. And the left ventricular ejection diastolic volume index is 86 ml per meter square in case of COVID-19 recovered group and 80 to 75 in the control group, which is with a p-value less than 0.001. And the native T1 cutoff values for the COVID-19 group is 1130 milliseconds in COVID-19 group, whereas in the healthy controls it is 1077 milliseconds. In the risk factor control group, matched control group, it is 1109 milliseconds. Abnormal native T1 values are found in 73 patients or 73% of the patients in COVID recovered group, whereas it is seen in only 6% and 40% of the patients in the healthy and risk factor matched control groups. Significantly abnormal native T values, that is upper tertial, is found in 38% of the patients, 38% of the patients with COVID-19 recovered group. Native T2 values, native T2 measures in case of COVID recovered group is 39, whereas the cutoff values in the healthy and risk factor matched controls is 35 and 36 respectively, with the p-value of p-value of less than 0.001, which is significant. Abnormal native T2 values are found in case of 60% of the patients who are recovered from the COVID-19, whereas it is seen in only 4% of the healthy controls and 9% of the risk factor matched controls. Late gadolinium enhancement is not at all seen in case of healthy controls, whereas it is predominantly seen in the COVID-19 recovered group, where 32% were having myocardial late gadolinium enhancement, of which 20 were non-ischemic and 12 were ischemic, and pericardial late gadolinium enhancement is seen in 22% of the patients recovered from the COVID-19 group, compared to the 17% of the patients with myocardial late gadolinium enhancement in case of risk factor matched controls, and 15% of pericardial late gadolinium enhancement in risk factor control groups, with a p-value of less than 0.001, indicating that it is significant. Coming to the results, among the 100 patients, 100 COVID-19 recovered patients tested, 53 patients were male, and the median interquartile range for age is 49 years. The time interval between the COVID-19 diagnosis and the cardiac MRI is 71 days. that is between 64 to 92 days. Of those 100 patients, 67 patients recovered at home and 33 required hospitalizations. Of the 67 patients, 18 patients were asymptomatic and 49 patients showed mild to moderate symptoms. And those 33 patients who required hospitalizations, 28 patients were on oxygen support, 17 were on NIV, and 2 were on ventilator support. And the high sensitivity troponin T, which is detectable values measured as 3 picograms per ml, is seen in more than 71% of the patients, and significantly elevated troponin T is seen in case of 5% of the patients. The patients recovered from the COVID-19 had lower left ventricular ejection fraction and higher left ventricle volumes and higher left ventricle mass, with a raised native T1 and native T2. Among those, 78% of the patients with having abnormal cardiac MRI findings, the raised myocardial native is seen in 73% of the patients, and raised myocardial native T2 is found in 60% of the patients. And late gadolinium enhancement, myocardial late gadolinium enhancement, 32% of the patients, pericardial late gadolinium enhancement in 22% of the patients. And high sensitivity troponin T was significantly correlated with the native T1 mapping and T2 mapping. Endomyocardial biopsy was suggested in patients with severe symptoms belonging to upper tertiary, such as high sensitive troponin T values and elevated native T1 and T2. An endomyocardial biopsy was suggested, which showed active lymphocytic infiltration. And on the day of cardiac MRI examination, direct questioning about the symptoms were done, of which 17 patients complained of atypical chest pain and 20 complained of palpitations. Prior to the diagnosis of COVID, these patients presented with the complaints of among these patients, 36 patients reported ongoing shortness of breath, of which 25 patients noted that symptoms were during less than ordinary daily activities. Among these 25 patients, 4 patients, that is 16%, were previously hospitalized. No patient has reported a typical anginal symptoms or any recent syncope. Coming to the scatter plots, where we see the native T1, T2 and high sensitivity troponin T on the y-axis, and we have taken the control group and the cohort group on the x-axis. So coming to the scatter plot, the native T1 in healthy controls is almost or less than 1100, and in the risk factor control groups it is between 1100 to 1150, whereas in COVID-19 recovery and hospitalized it is elevated, and there is a small but significant change in between the difference in between the patients who recovered in home and who required hospitalization, indicating that the patients who required hospitalization had a high native T1 values, indicating that it is an indicator for the worse outcome. And there is no such significant difference in native T2 values and also in the high sensitivity troponin T values. Here we can see in the healthy controls, the native high sensitivity troponin T values is less than 3, not detectable, whereas in risk factor it is slightly detectable, whereas in COVID-19 recovered patients, the high sensitivity troponin T values is elevated in almost 71% of the patients. Coming to the correlation between the positive tests and the measures of T1 and T2 and high sensitivity troponin T, there is no correlation, and there is the trend line indicates a linear regression trend, and this shaded area indicates that there is a standard deviation of the mean, so indicating there is no correlation between the cardiac MRI findings and the time since the diagnosis. This table shows us the receiver operating characteristic curve analysis for comparison between COVID recovered group and also healthy COVID recovered group and healthy controls, and COVID recovered group and risk factor matched controls, and the upper cutoff points have been identified, cutoff values have been identified, of which if we can see in the table, in the initial part of the table with the COVID-19 versus healthy controls, the p values are significant for native T1, native T2 and high sensitive troponin T with less than 0.001, and left ventricular ejection fraction and right ventricular ejection fraction of 0.001, showing that there is an elevated native T1 value, T1 and T2 values, and high sensitivity troponin T in case of COVID-19 patients, and the lower left ventricular ejection fraction, lower ejection fractions in case of COVID-19 recovered group when compared to the healthy controls, and same is true for those with the risk factor matched controls. discussion, each and every value which we have discussed prior has its own importance. Increased native T1 measures represent a diffuse myocardial fibrosis and edema, where increased native T2 is specific for edema. Increase in both T1 and T2 measures active inflammatory process, and increased T1 with normal T2 have a healed myocardium with some residual myocardial damage. The increase in native T1 measures have been strongly correlated with the worse outcomes in the patients with ischemic heart disease and non-ischemic cardiomyopathy. And the pericardial late gadolinium enhancement indicates the regional damage due to myocardial inflammation, whereas pericardial effusion and fibrosis is due to ongoing active pericarditis. The increased troponin T and C reactive protein levels similarly indicate the inflammatory and partially ongoing myocardial damage and have been related to worse outcome. So in our study, there is cardiac involvement in 78 patients or 78% of the patients, with ongoing myocardial inflammation in 60 patients or 60% of the patients with recent COVID-19 illness. And the significant cardiac involvement occurs independent of the severity of original presentation and persists beyond the period of acute presentation, with no significant trend towards reduction of the imaging or serological findings during the recovery period. So these findings provide an indication of potentially considerable burden of the inflammatory disease in large and growing parts of the population and urgent requirement of confirmation in the larger cohort. These are my references.